is one of my favorite films of the year. It's a new American classic, and I'm so pleased to welcome this cast. Please join me in welcoming, there's a few of them, so I'm going to go through it fast. Alexandro Nivola. Isaach de Bankolé. Felicity Jones. And the man who is just leading this critics circle, please welcome Adrien Brody. I was going to say, unfortunately, I think we're out of time now. I imagine that happens wherever you go. Like you walk into Starbucks and people jump on.
No, it's been a long time.
Thank you all so much for being here. This is actually an audience of your fellow SAG-AFTRA actors. So I'd also like to start with just a speed round by asking, how did you get your SAG card? What was the job that brought that to you? And I'm really curious for some of you who started, in other countries that might have been well into your careers if this happened. Let's start with Alexandro.
Face Off?
Yes! Yes! Greatest movie of all time. Paul's Troy. Yeah. Isaach?
Chocolate?
Oh, really? Stacy, for you?
I think mine was actually Vox Lux by Brady.
Wow, that's amazing.
I think mine was Eating the Sacred Dead.
Really? That was before Vox Lux?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I have a SAG.
You do.
Get out of here.
I bet I know what yours was probably for Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk.
I would think so, but I genuinely don't think.
You
I do.
definitely.
If I do, then Billy then.
Do you get access to screeners?
I sleep.
Guy, for you?
It was just before LA Confidential, so I'd done Priscilla and that came here.
Priscilla, but he also said LA Confidential. Felicity?
I think it was like crazy.
Oh, wow. So, that's so interesting. Wow. Adrien, for you?
You guys all came with some big heavy hitters. I mean,
Yeah.
I started very young. I don't remember if they gave me a SAG card initially, but I was like a day player with Coppola on New York Stories. And that was my first gig, which I waited online on an open call around the block outside. My dad waited with me when I was about 12. And then the next feature
I mean, you called them heavy hitters, but you started
Well,
with Coppola?
yeah.
It was a McDonald's commercial.
It was a day. I mean, it was cool. He poured really cheap cologne all over me so that the girls could react. They didn't have to really act. So I was already method acting before I even knew what I was doing.
Just so you know, most people do say like an industrial or McDonald's commercial, and you all had just shamed us all right out of the gate.
Did a few of those.
Okay, good.
I used to sign to check off will you do extra. I was just talking about this so long ago. They do a Polaroid and index card, and it would say, will you do extra work? And I used to always do that,
Wow.
check it off, and hope for an upgrade. I remember those days.
Yeah.
Did you ever get any extra work?
I did extra. I did an extra work on a commercial, and I was hoping the director would notice me, but he didn't.
Well, I think you can still make it.
Thank you.
Again, congratulations on a wonderful film that manages to be both intimate and epic. I just love to start at the beginning because this is written by co-written by Brady Corber and directed by Brady, who is just batting 1,000 as a director, if I understand my baseball metaphors correctly. I'm curious for each of you, what specifically interested you in this project and in your role, starting with Adrien?
First of all, it's just so beautifully written, and it is so nuanced and relevant, and speaks to this the struggle that we face as artists in trying to achieve something meaningful and not lose that fight for leaving behind a body of work that's meaningful and worthwhile, and that spoke to me, but also my family's journey. My mother is a photographer named Sylvia Klein.
You're a renowned photographer.
Quite a renowned photographer, and she and my grandparents fled Budapest in 1956 during the revolution, and basically left everything behind and started anew in New York. So I understand her journey and struggles as an immigrant and as an artist. And that spoke to me a lot and gave me insight into the character and even my own path as an artist. I think is also kind of deeply moved by her struggles and the fact that artists, the kind of difficulties and traumatic experiences in our lives give us, our art gives us a way of processing and sharing and opening to the conversation, and that's something that I love about the film.
Felicity, for you?
It was just, I mean, not to just repeat what Adrien said, but it was excellently written. It was such a moving script to read. It was so ambitious. You know, even at the level of the script, there were all these images. There were real archive images of people who, you know, could have had Ezra and Laszlo's story, and then it had the title cards, and it had this intermission. And I think it was what Brady and Mona were setting out to achieve was something that I don't think a lot of us had read anything quite like it before. So I think in that respect you don't get those kind of opportunities to do something on this scale over so many years. Yeah.
Guy, they always say that you have to get the nicest people to play the worst characters, and I've heard you're really nice, which makes sense because this Harrison is horrible.
Felicity just said not in my case.
It's just misunderstood. I think. Was that part of the appeal, though, to play someone that's like so complex and different from what you've done?
Yeah, I mean, to reiterate that, obviously, as these guys have pointed out, the script really was extraordinary, and all the characters were beautifully realised, and in particular, the character that Brady wanted me to play was fascinating, I found, and really, sort of dimensional. So great stuff to sink your teeth into. But the other thing for me too, I think, was looking at Brady's other work. And really seeing that he had a real style and a unique voice, and just there was something unusual about the way in which he tells the story, and that was really inspiring, I found. So I just knew he was also, as well as this great script, he was. So as you were saying today, it was just a no-brainer. You just go, yeah, I'm in. There's no sort of question about it, really.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of laughing because I always forget you're Australian. You're just such a good American accent.
Thank you.
Why? Actually, you want to. How are you people so, you people, God, how are you so good at American
Foreigners, I think they're called.
Yeah.
Aliens.
People, they're foreigners.
Illegals.
Aliens.
Jill,
Aliens.
for you, what interested you in being part of this project? And did you know that your father was going to be Guy Pearce?
I didn't know at the beginning, but this is actually the third time we worked together, so it was a bonus. Yeah, it was.
Maybe you really are my son. I eventually find that out.
It was, I mean, it was the writing, like, first and foremost, like the others have said, it was this big, rigorous, detailed script, unlike anything I'd read before. And I was so impressed by the scope of it, and what it was, some of the things it was tackling or asking questions about, the immigrant experience, or when to be an artist, or all these big topics, but it also felt incredibly personal and intimate, and I really thought it was a biopic when I read it. I assumed that it was, it's not real, but I thought it was, and I was a fan of Brady's work. And it was just, yeah, I hadn't read anything like it. It was really very special.
And Raffey, you've obviously worked with Brady before. Is it an automatic yes anytime you hear from him?
Yes. Yeah, I would literally do anything that Brady, or I'd be privileged enough to do anything Brady does. He actually mentioned the Brutalist to me at a box sex after party. Do you remember that? Yeah, it was a long time ago. And then, so obviously I said yes before I'd even read the script, but then when I read the script, I mean, it was amazing, and I actually thought it was worth it too. And I thought there was nothing more thrilling than trying to play a part where no words are used. I think that's really, not scary. In fact, the opposite. I think it's easier to say stuff with it. So yeah, felt very lucky to do that.
Stacy, similar for you. You've obviously worked with Brady before.
Yes, so it's my third time with Brady, and his scripts are the same. They haven't evolved. They are so beautifully written and dense. But I think for me, what really drew me to working with him is just he always talks about human psychology and characters in a way that they always face an important shift, whether it be politically, whether it be emotionally, and it's something that as an actor is so thrilling to dive into, and Brady has this immense capacity to bring in an amazing family of actors and then make everybody feel like we are all going to this amazing creation together, and it's something that's very rare, I think, when you can make a film and can really understand the word collaboration. And Brady is super generous with the footage that he shoots, with the music that he wants to use during the filming, how he wants to edit. There are no secrets, and I think that process of filmmaking for me is something that is vital to cinema and that is exciting to be a part of. So I just find it really exhilarating to be a part of.
When did you realize this would be your family, or did he tell you at the start?
I knew a long time ago.
You did? And did he tell you you're the only nice one in this family?
Yeah, I tried to make her a little saucier, but it's hard. The writing is so grounded that you kind of, you're taken by it a lot of the time, and having such an amazing cast, your character just exists beyond you, so that's a really fun process.
And Isaach, you've worked with amazing directors all over the world. It makes perfect sense that you would collaborate with Brady. Did he come to you with this role?
Yes, Brady a few years ago, I mean before COVID.
Oh, before COVID.
He approached me with the script, and I didn't know about his work. It was his first 2 films, and I was amazed by not only a young director, who was very deep into storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And what amazed me in this script was like the human condition. Whether it's migration or immigration, from, I don't know, it could be forced, like slavery from Africa, like myself. My grandparents come from Nigeria, they moved to Benin, my parents moved from Benin to Ivory Coast. So I could relate to that story. And also, it kind of break down the stereotypes. When I look at Gordon, what I loved in Gordon's character, he was breaking the stereotype. Usually it's a black guy, you're gonna get food. by the drug and can get away. Here it's the contrary.
Yeah.
It's, in the end, God gave up, but last look at who by
Yeah.
him. And also the relation with his son. Usually the parents who are the one who kind of preserve the sons from emotion. Here the son was preserving his dad too from some hard times. So like that. So family of actors together. That's amazing.
Actually, Gordon and Laszlo's relationship is one of my favorite things about the movie, and I look at, yeah, if you want to do some spin-offs.
It feels just so, all of them though, and you know, working with you and also with Alessandro and all these things, and My Beautiful Wife, and the complexity of all of these.
Yes, it's
just so
few scenes. You need a lot of scenes to
Yeah.
make the art.
I'd take a whole spin-off movie just about you two, like on a road
I
trip.
do that.
Just saying.
But I'm sorry, bro, you're gonna get back on the stuff with me.
And Alexandro, I mean, like, you're the secret weapon in every movie, I feel. If you're in the movie, first of all, it's going to win a prize at a festival. If you're in a movie, it's going to win a prize at a festival. You were in both of the big winners this year, The Room Next Door as well. And you really seem to be drawn to ensemble work.
Yeah, I mean, there were the two most obvious reasons for wanting to be in this one were that when I first met Brady, he told me that he wanted to make a movie about an artist getting screwed by his patron. And that really resonated. And the other was that he first offered me this job, I think it was like 2 weeks into COVID lockdown. And I had just stashed my cannellini beans and was ready for the long, cold winter. And he was like, do you want to be in Poland in 3 weeks? We're going to make a movie. And I was like, yeah. And of course, it was 3 years later that we actually shot the movie. You know, this theme of assimilation, which all of our characters are grappling with in one way or another, I thought was particularly fascinating with Attila. And, you know, my dad's name was Pietro Salvatore Nivola, and he went through high school as Pete. And so I knew something about that. I'd also just recently, when Brady had called me, seen these interviews with a Hungarian cinematographer named Andrew Laszlo, who shot a cult film called The Warriors and the original Shogun series. And it was completely unrelated when I watched it, but he had this very particular way of talking, and he was trying so hard to sound American. Yeah. And he had this kind of like New York-y kind of East Coast city accent, but it was just slightly wrong. And that, as we were talking, like immediately popped into my head. And by the way, he had changed, his name was originally Laszlo Andras, and he had changed it to Andrew Laszlo. And so I fixated on this guy as the, you know, idea for the character, and I ended up really just imitating his voice, and so much about what I sort of could glean from his experience, even just in his physicality and everything, because of him trying to assimilate and not quite pulling it off.
All the relationships in this movie feel so lived in. I'm sort of curious if that, like, for lack of a better word, chemistry was there from the start. You really do feel like, even though these two have been separated for some time, you feel like a lived-in married couple. That the guy that seems with you and Adrien are just so electric. I don't know if that's something, if it's just good acting, or if there's a way where you're able to rehearse or get to know each other at all.
It's good acting. Well, it's good acting when you're with people who come to the table prepared and prepared to listen and to be present and have an understanding of what we're all, the objective is, and how we, Felicity brought so much strength to storytelling and grounding and foundation for Laszlo that he doesn't have. And she's, I think it's so beautiful with her. Her physical disabilities is the one that is lifting us both up. And the yearnings of being separated forcibly and being united and all the flaws in my character to endure and the kind of obsessiveness of an artist and to love and stand by that person and be that pillar of support in a family. And that's done through understanding and sensitivity and patience. And Guy's role is wonderfully complex. I don't think he's a villain, per se, at all. He actually loves Laszlo in some ways. He hates him. I would say for the fact that he doesn't possess that certain thing, but he wants to attain it, but he appreciates it. And for a man who's lost so much, and so much stolen from him, not just his life and his pride and his family, the grounds around him, but the body of work that he left behind, and to start again from nothing, to have someone like that see your potential is earth-shattering. So that is a wonderful dynamic. It obviously falls apart, but it's beautiful, and that's all done because Guy is good at it. Unbelievable, wonderful listener, and is fearless in playing the complexity of that character.
It's a very complex character, and I'm wondering if for you as an actor, it was ever a challenging place to be. I don't know if you're the kind of actor who takes your film with you, but Harrison is so, tortured internally. Is that a hard place for you to go as an actor?
No, not really, to be honest. I mean, I'm a lot better these days at trusting myself in being able to get into where I need to get into and then walk away from it. In the old days, I used to have to carry everything with me, and I found in the end that was sort of interminably exhausting. And I realized also that it wasn't actually that beneficial for the work. I was doing work at home that I should have been saving for when I was at work. So these days I'm a lot better at stepping in and out, and in a way it means I can, every time I step back in, it feels fresh and kind of, there's an energized feeling about it, and so in a way, the more extreme the requirement with, say for example, a character like this, it's exciting, it's great to step into characters that are particularly so sort of all over the place with their kind of emotions, I guess.
And Felicity, what is it like to, play this woman who is so patient and understanding, but she is fierce, and we really see at the end of the day just how powerful she is. The term invisible labor comes to mind for me when I'm watching her, because she's doing so much and not expecting to be recognized for any of it.
Well, yeah, it's quite interesting when Laszlo and Erzsébet reunited, having not seen each other for 8 years, and they've obviously been so anticipating and waiting and hungry for this experience that when they actually do get together, it's quite complex, and they're almost quite antagonistic with each other. And there's so much humanity in that line when Erzsébet says, Joy, do you think I look old? It just feels so true to a marriage, to a relationship. That I think with Erzsébet, she in some ways is she just wants to build a life and move forward. I think all the trauma that she has gone through is expressed in the frailty of her body, in the malnutrition that she's suffering from. So in many ways, the past is written large on her body, and emotionally and mentally she has a, I think her and Laszlo and Van Gogh, I think they all have these enormous egos, actually. I think they're wrestling for a sort of power between them, that actually Van Buren thinks he should win because he's got the money. And these guys go, no way, you don't get to win. We have beliefs and we have integrity, and that will match you any day. So there is, there's a fight. There's a fight in all of them. I mean, so much of the story is about survival and that struggle, that day-to-day struggle of surviving, but keeping who you are and your beliefs and holding on to those.
Speaking of the relationships, I completely forgotten that Guy and Joe had worked together before, twice before, and it just occurred to me when I was watching this movie, I was like, they really look alike. Someone did really good casting, but you'd already done it a couple times.
We've done it.
What was the first time you worked together?
A film called Mary Queen of Scots.
No, first
Oh, so it was,
was it Mary?
Yeah, that was first, yeah.
oh, family dispute.
Yeah.
Well, again, I want to ask if everyone could stay seated because they actually have to be somewhere. But I do want to remind people that this will be in theaters, which is really the way to see it, December 20th. Please spread the word. It's such a special film. Thank you all so much for being here today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.